You are listening to Realign Your Life Podcast, where I discuss with you strategies on how to realign your life and move towards the direction you always want to. I am Vivian, the host of this podcast, and every week I will bring value on how to improve and realign your life either through a guest or my thoughts. I can't wait to share what we have this week. It's time to realign your life. Well, hello there, and welcome back to Realign Your Life Podcast. This is Vivian, the host of this show, and I am so excited to have you join me for this episode. As you know, I like to share my thoughts with you, and sometimes they just go some all over everywhere. But as we realign our lives, I know that you, just like myself, have had some mountaintop experiences that have kind of pushed us along on this journey. And as we realign our lives, we know that it involves some of those intentional changes to better align our actions, our values, and our goals with insights that we gain from such experiences. It may involve reassessing our priorities, setting new goals, and adopting new habits to better foster our growth and fulfillment. And of course, all of this is to create a life that is more congruent with our true self and aspirations that will lead us to better satisfaction and a deeper sense of purpose. And so when I talk about a mountaintop experience, it is often a term that is used in Christian circles, and we think of it as a cliche, but it is no cliche. These experiences are often characterized by intense spiritual clarity, a heightened experience of God's presence, and a deep connection with the divine. I know that you've experienced that just as I have. And so these are moments that stand out in our faith journey, and they provide us with spiritual insight and encouragement for our future growth. So what does that look like from a biblical perspective or a spiritual perspective? And so I would call this episode, if I had to title it at all, Understanding the Mountaintop Experience. A spiritual perspective. So we know that the Bible is replete with biblical examples of literal mountaintop experiences. And these experiences on the mountaintop with God were very powerful. And they can serve as a foundational reference for the concept of a mountaintop experience. And just to share a couple of those experiences with you today let's begin with Moses. And many of you have probably read in Exodus 20, where Moses was on top of Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai, where he received the 10 Commandments and the law from God. And he had a very intimate encounter with God on that mountaintop. And it was very significant because the 10 Commandments and the law were foundational for the Israelite community. And this experience not only transformed Moses, but it also established a covenant between God and his people. So this is so significant because it demonstrates for us the importance of divine encounters for guidance and instruction. The next encounter I want to share with you from a biblical perspective is Elijah on Mount Horeb. And so you can learn more about Elijah in this encounter in First Kings in the Bible. So Elijah had just escaped, had just run away from Queen Jezebel, and he encounters God on Mount Horeb. And in a still small voice, God instructs and reassures Elijah of his presence and instructs him on his next steps in his ministry. And so Elijah's mountaintop experience highlights how God provides both comfort, clarity, and direction during times of fear and uncertainty. And the third biblical example that I would like to share is the transformation of Jesus on Mount Tabor. And this experience can be found in the books of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Those three gospels are the ones that share this mountaintop experience. And here, Jesus took Peter, James, and John up on a mountaintop where he revealed his divine glory to them. And he was totally and completely transfigured. And of course, Moses and Elijah appeared, and the voice of God affirmed Jesus as his beloved son. And of course, in this example, the transfiguration provided the disciples with a glimpse of Jesus's divine nature and mission, and it strengthened their faith for the challenges that were ahead of them. So as we talk about mountaintop experiences, what are some characteristics of it? What should we look for, or what should we expect as we have those kind of encounters? So I would suggest to you, there are a couple of characteristics that we can look at. First, we will have intense spiritual clarity. These experiences often brings us a heightened awareness of God's presence and a deeper understanding of his will and purpose. And secondly, there is that transformational impact. They lead to significant personal and spiritual transformation, which influences our faith journey as we realign our lives. Thirdly, there is divine revelation. Just as Elijah had divine revelation on Mount Horeb, often we would have new insights, guidance, and revelation from God. And of course, lastly, I would say as a characteristics, usually those mountaintop experiences are temporary, but very powerful. Mountaintop experiences are usually brief, but they leave a lasting impact, which often provides us strength and motivation during those times of the valleys in our lives. So I've shared with you from a biblical perspective what a mountaintop experience looks like. But what about the modern mountaintop experiences? What do they look like? And I think that we can experience some of those and be made more aware through several different contexts or various settings, such as during your time of prayer, during worship, during retreats, or some other significant life event. And so here are a few examples of what I think believers and how I think believers can experience some of those modern mountaintop experiences. And say, for example, the retreats and conferences. Spiritual retreats and conferences will provide a setting that gets you away from the daily routines and allows you to focus intensely on God. And they can facilitate powerful encounters with the divine. There can be community and teachings as you engage with believers and receive biblical teachings that can catalyze transformative changes. And of course, there's your personal devotions and prayer time. So extended times of prayer and meditation can lead to profound insights and a sense of God's immediate presence there with you. And of course, I will always say scriptural engagement. Studying the Bible deeply and reflectively can result in moments of revelation and that connection with God. God reveals himself in his word. And as you dig into that word and really sink it deep within your spirit, man, then God reveals himself to you. And it's amazing that you can read a scripture one time and it says something to you in this particular situation, and you can come back and read it again and it reveals something totally different. God's word never grows old, and it is good for every situation in life. It is his life storybook for us. And of course, worship experiences, corporate worship. This is where that collective focus of everyone is on praising God, and this creates an environment for a spiritual breakthrough. And of course, your own private worship. And this time of worship could be through music, through art, or some other creative expression that can lead you to mountaintop experiences. And one of the things that I often employ is music. And there is one on, what is it? It is called Divine Melodies Along with God. And it's inspirational worship and praise music. And it's often interspersed with scriptures and some soothing sings. So you can do this on YouTube. I just find it on YouTube, turn on YouTube and search for Divine Melodies. So now we have had some biblical examples, characteristics of mountaintop experiences, what modern mountaintop experiences look like, including retreats and conferences, personal devotion and prayer, and worship experiences. So now, how do we sustain the impact of those mountaintop experiences? And that is really where the rubber meets the road. So how do we incorporate those insights and that spiritual growth into our everyday life? And here are a couple of ways that I believe that we can do that. First of all, we can reflect and journal. Write down the details of that insight. Reflect on what happened and internalize it. And remember the lesson learned. I would say, even at your bedside, have a pad and a pencil or a pen where you can jot those things down, or always have in a paper and a pen handy, where when you have those revelations, or when you know that you're going into that special time and you come out of it, you'll be able to jot it down. Because if you don't do it then, if you're like me, it gets lost because you get back into the rat race of life and all of that is just gone. And then secondly, apply the lessons that are learned. Identify some practical ways to apply the insights and the guidance that you've received. And this may include changes in your attitude, in your habits, in your behavior, and your priorities. Thirdly, share with others. Discuss the experience with a trusted friend or your mentor. So simply sharing the experience can provide accountability and also encouragement. And lastly, continue seeking. Maintain a posture of seeking God in your daily lives. I think it's in Thessalonians, the book of Thessalonians, it says, pray continuously. It doesn't mean that you have to be praying out loud or, get in a posture of prayer, but you can just inwardly be seeking God. And of course, those regular spiritual disciplines such as prayer, Bible reading and study, and worship will keep you connected to the source of that mountaintop experience. So in conclusion, my friends, a mountaintop experience is a profound and transformative encounter with God that provides clarity, motivation, and growth. Our biblical examples of Moses, Elijah, and Jesus illustrates to us the power and significance of these encounters. But we, as modern believers, can experience similar moments through retreats, personal devotion, and worship. Remember, the key to sustaining the impact of these experiences lies in reflection, application, community support, and continuously seeking God. And simply by integrating these elements into our daily lives, we can carry the insights and strengths from our mountaintop experiences into the valleys and plains of everyday existence. Well, my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this episode and you have been able to pull out a couple of nuggets for yourself that you can put into practice as you realign your life and have those wonderful, wonderful mountaintop experiences. If this helped you or you found this to be helpful to you, please make sure that you share it with others. And please make sure that you leave a review. So until the next episode, I leave you peace. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The best gift that you could give me is to share this podcast with family and friends. And don't forget to review it. That way, this podcast will grow organically. If you need to reach out to me, please check out my Facebook page, DM me there, or you can email me at godskow@gmail.com. We have upcoming Bible studies that we would love for you to join us in, or if there is a guest or someone that you would like to see me interview on this podcast, please let me know. We are here to work together to realign our lives. Until the next episode, take care, and I look forward to sharing more and more with you as we realign our lives. Peace until next week.